occupy and the style of play is something that I can adapt easily to the international game, and I feel like the league has just done such a good job growing the player pool for the national team. Like, I think the player pool is like so much bigger than it was before the NWSL, just because everyone's playing competitively all year, and the national team staff has like such a big selection to pull from, which is like great for the game in general.
In terms of, you've seen leagues in Europe get better, you've seen more investment in Europe, but when you look at you guys winning 2015 and 2019 World Cup, how much do you think having a stable league through both those tournaments has helped you guys even advance it, probably it seems even more accelerated rate?
Yeah, I think that's like, I mean, you can definitely point to that as a correlation between the success of the national team and the existence of this league. And obviously I wasn't with the national team in 2015, but I think that, like I said before, the pool that the staff has to draw from and the competition to make the national team is just so high, and it really it forces the players there to get better, and it's asking a lot from the players who aren't there because they have an opportunity to go in at any given moment. So I think that having the consistency of the league and having great environments like the one we have here, like the one Portland has, it's so clearly such a great environment to play in. Is pushing the level of the game so much, so I think the league is definitely contributing to the success of the national team.
And do you feel as a player secure in the fact that the league is going to be around at this point, or are there still steps you feel like the league needs to be taken to get to that point where you feel as a player that it's stable and it's here to stay?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're taking steps in the right direction. I feel like it's stable. I don't know like how tuned in I am to what goes on behind the scenes, but I think that like I'm relying on it and I'm counting on playing here for a long time, and I think that it's going to take a lot of investment from owners, and we want it to grow. We want big companies to come on as sponsors. Like the Budweiser thing is huge. We want more teams. Like we want a longer season. There are things that we can do that like can continue to push the league forward, and that will help the national team more. But with even that aside, I feel like the league in and of itself is so important. It's a place for so many people to play. I don't feel like it has to be like a feeder league to the national team anymore. I think it's being in the NWSL is a huge deal, and I think that a lot of times that gets overlooked when you don't get into the national team, because I feel like that is kind of like a goal for everybody, but I kind of want to start looking at the NWSL as totally separate and something where like playing here is that's what people want to do, because it's like a huge accomplishment to make it to this level, and I want the league to kind of stand alone in that, if that makes sense.
And by the same token, how, kind of flipping the script, how important is the fact that of the national team's success contributing to the success of the NWSL, and not just the U.S. national team, but like the rise of the Canadian national team, for example, other national teams, Brazil. How does that help contribute to the success of the NWSL?
Yeah, well, I think fans who are interested in the international game, I think that those the success of those national teams can serve as a catalyst to make fans interested in the NWSL. But then the NWSL needs to like retain them, and I know there's been huge bumps in attendance for these last couple of months, but I want that to continue the whole rest of the season, the whole next season. I feel like drawing in fans from events like the World Cup and the Olympics is awesome, and we just need to learn how to sustain that as a league. And I think that the people who are in charge are like really making efforts to continue to push that and are taking steps in the right direction. So as players, I think we just have to keep putting out a good product, and if someone's come to their first NWSL game when they've only before watched the national team, I want to make sure that they enjoy it and that it's fun to watch.
Sort of by that same token, you're not in charge of getting fans in the door, but we've seen sellouts elsewhere in the league. We've seen good attendance numbers since World Cup. Do you feel like optimistic that this is kind of going to last, and we're going to kind of start building on this and keep bringing people in?
I really hope so. I mean, I think obviously Portland is doing something right. There was a ton of people here today. It's always fun to come here and play, and I think that there are a lot of clubs that were doing things right. Chicago had 17,000 people the other day. It was a huge deal. I think North Carolina is doing pretty consistently a good job, and I really hope that it continues, and even just beyond like ticket sales and attendance, I think just the TV deal is huge, and getting more eyes on the game, and like I said, like retaining fans from season to season. So like next year again, hopefully we're getting these kinds of numbers again, you know. But I feel optimistic. I mean, I think that like since I've been in the league, I've noticed a ton of improvement, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are really invested in making this work for a long time.
And then can you talk about, this isn't the first game back after the World Cup. These people aren't coming to see the national team stars. Are coming because this is like a big rivalry game. Can you sort of talk about that dynamic?
Yeah, I think that that's the kind of thing that will sustain itself. I think that the hype from the World Cup will eventually simmer down a little bit, but if there's rivalry games within the league, like every time that happens, there will be a big crowd. And those are the kinds of things I think are worth like hyping up. If there's huge rivalry between Portland and Seattle and other teams, like that, it doesn't matter if it's a World Cup year or if there's even World Cup players there, because people will always want to watch those. So I think that that's maybe something in the media that like would help. If that makes sense. Not to give you guys advice or anything. I think you guys are doing great.
You mentioned, I'm sorry for jumping in, like you mentioned some of the rivalry stuff and how the buzz around the league. Does it feel differently at all for you now, coming back with a medal and everything you've been through, the lockout there on that field, and say, hey, not only is it a game, but I'm a World Cup winner, and it makes that a little different how you see things?
Honestly, no. I feel like with the Courage, like we've always really talked about just being like a blue collar team, and I don't ever want us to like lose that identity. So I feel like when I'm playing with the Courage, like I want to be, we have this kind of like mentality still left over from when we were in Western New York, and like I never want to lose that. And I think that it's kind of just like this gritty mentality that we take a lot of pride in. So I don't really like think about anything else when I'm out there, like about the World Cup or anything.
Between that and how busy you've been, have you had any time to breathe or just been running nonstop since you got home?
Yeah, it's been pretty busy, but it's like all very good, and obviously I'm very lucky to be in this position, so I can't complain, but it's been really busy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.